What about those DVDs you see for sale? Are they helpful for income property investing?
Those infomercials that you see at 2 a.m, it's a crock. I mean, those guys are making money selling those DVDs, but they do not know your market. So, to give someone hope that for a few $100s of DVDs, they can go and buy rental properties with no money down and do assumptions and build this vast fortune. I'm sure you'll see or hear about some successes, but it's the equivalent of buying a lottery ticket. You hear people that actually win the lottery. The way to make money in investment properties in this area is you have to know your market, you have to know whether or not it's going to have a good turn, and you have to know that it's a good investment. And that comes from research. You don't need anybody to sell you a DVD. It's not going to happen.
All right, I went to one of those.
Oh no, I did not know this. That's good. What did you learn?
It was painful. In all honesty, I equated my experience with going to the lecture. It was a free lecture, and they sent me a VIP ticket actually to go over to Raleigh about 4 years ago.
Nice.
And so I went to the lecture, and I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure it was the same guy who tried to sell me a timeshare the year before. I'm not positive, but it was 15 solid minutes of information packed into 8 hours, and it was brutal. And so did I learn something? Yes. But the most prominent thing I learned is I never want to do that again.
Right.
But no, what Eric says about the local knowledge. I personally owned rental property that was not in Chatham County, and that was painful. And I just escaped from the last one that's not in Chatham County, and that's been a big deal. The DVDs, it's general information, but that didn't tell you who's your HVAC guy, who's your electrician, who do you talk to at land use and the tax office. Mm-hmm. And that relationship and that knowledge is the difference between making money and not making money. Because if instead of paying, X to have something repaired, you're paying 2X every time, you're not going to make money on the property.
Have you ever been in a situation where someone offered or was willing to do an assumption?
I don't even know what an assumption is.
I assumed you did.
Yeah.
An assumption is where someone has a debt on the property and they're like, Greg, you sign over the note and you make my payments from now on. So there's no money involved in everything. That's what these guys are trying to sell in the DVD. Are we not in a hot enough market that people aren't going to do an assumption?
Okay. When Eric and I met, I was all worked up about finding distressed properties, and I subscribed to a couple of online services that would tell you which properties were being foreclosed on. I spent money on 2 local newspapers so I could see when the foreclosures were. And I started going to the courthouse and sitting and waiting, and I also have put up a couple of signs that say I buy distressed properties. Both of those were 3, maybe even 4 years ago now. Not once have I purchased one of those properties, not because someone offered it and it was a bad deal. I didn't purchase them because I've never gotten into the position to buy them after all that effort. The banks buy them back, and no one with a distressed property ever called me. Someone who's like, hey, I can sell this guy my property for 50% more than its current value. I got a lot of those calls. Mm-hmm. But I never got the call of, I owe $40,000 on a $60,000 house. Will you rent it to me now? Mm-hmm. And that never has happened to me.
Right. And that's what those DVD programs are focused on. And any way that you can take over a property, have positive cash flow, but not have any skin in the game. And it's just the investment game is not. It's a gambler. It's not as much of a gamble if you know what you're doing or whatever. But you're not. There's no easy way to make money in this. It is hard.
and I'm actually kind of embarrassed to say this because I hadn't made the connection. It was going to the lecture in Raleigh that talked me into starting to hunt these properties that he was ridiculing me about trying to find. So,
Well, I said, the only way you'll know is to do it yourself.
that he
And I
did.
said, I'm not going to be a part of it because I've done this, but I will help you in any way I can. We'll pull everything, all the information. But, one of the things in the foreclosure market, the banks are using fake money. So, I mean, you owe them 90. It's their 90. They're not going to sell it for 75 if they've had somebody go out there and say, you know what, this is worth between 90 and 100. The bank's not going to do that. The bank can outweigh you. And they're looking on their return. So when you go to these foreclosure auctions and everything, the bank puts its bid on what is owed, and it's really fake money to them. So